in 2020 on top of the roughly $4 billion a year that we invest in fighting the three other big infectious diseases in the world, HIV, TB, and malaria. We mobilized and deployed another $1 billion to help countries. So one thing we must not do what we did with HIV and TB. We must not let COVID become a residual pandemic. We must finish the fight. To do that, we are going to have to scale up the pace. The reality is the pace of rollout of vaccines, obviously, but also diagnostics, oxygen, treatments, PPE is not fast enough to be containing the impact of COVID around the world. Most low-income countries are testing for COVID at single-digit percentage levels of the high-income rate. So if you do tests per 100,000 per day, and you compare high-income countries to low-income countries, the low-income countries are testing at a rate of about 2 to 3%. We then talk about the fact that it appears that low-income countries don't have many confirmed cases. Well, surprise, surprise, if you don't test, you don't have many confirmed cases. There are many lessons to learn from COVID. One, as has been mentioned already, is the powerful interconnection between the economy and global health. We will not get the economy back to the global economy back to its proper level of performance until we solve this crisis. And because the amount of money at stake is so enormous across the world, the IMF has estimated that the difference between a fast response to the crisis and a slower response is worth $9 trillion to the global economy. The return on investment on having a more effective, more equitable, faster global response to dealing with COVID is extraordinarily high. Basically, we could put a few tens of billions through the ACT accelerator, and if it brought forward the resumption of global economic activity at a normal level by one day, it would have paid for itself. I think a second lesson about we must take from COVID is obviously that we need to think differently about global health security. And one thing I think we need to do is to break down the distinction between fighting existing major diseases and protecting against new infectious disease outbreaks. What I would just finish by saying is, first, we must step up the fight against COVID and do so with urgency, because the longer this disease exists, the more difficult it'll become to fight. Secondly, we must rethink the way we approach global health security. And thirdly, we must rethink the connection between health and the economy.